maybe you want a jug of alcohol, and I'll talk about that in a minute, that you can clean out larger wounds with that, right? Because that's going to be necessary for taking care of bigger things, and you want that as handy as possible. So you want to develop one that can maybe stay with you. This is always pretty much in my vehicle, in my Jeep, and then we have some more stuff. Not a kit like this, but I bought separate stuff, larger gauze, larger tape, larger bandages, butterfly bandages. That is in another spot, right? And you can get that stuff at different places. You can buy kits that are more industrial that you can get anywhere at some place like big box store, Home Depot, Walmart, that sort of thing. Then something a little bit simpler that you might not think about, but you might want to over-the-counter medications and stock up on that. Because sometimes when you need it, right? And that would be things that you would normally take and want. If you like Vicks, if you like NyQuil, if you're prone to get itchy skin or your kids are prone to get sunburn, have some, right? Aloe vera, have some extra of those types of things. You might have Tums or extra aspirin or A&D cream or cold and flu. Put them in these airtight containers. Then you might want some other things like cough drops and lip balm and tummy stuff, the pink stuff, right? Little wraps or little cleaning cloths, those kind of things. And you just store them up. And again, they have an expiration date, but they're pretty long. And you work through that, right? So the idea here is don't also forget your pet may need things for your pet, whether it takes medication or you need flea and tick stuff or you need extra treats or other things at that time stored up. And by the way, dollar store, right? Go pick this up at dollar store or whatever. If you can get other things that are going on there. Something that's important, if the internet goes down, WebMD is not going to help you, okay? You might have a first aid book. This one's very expensive, but it's extremely thorough. It's very good. We had a food poisoning incident, and so I wanted to look some stuff up on WebMD. I was sorely kind of disappointed what was there. I went and perused through here. They had about 6 pages, and they went through each type of food poisoning, what to look for, the different types of symptoms they're going to have. Here's what you should be doing, and here's how you overcome it, or here's how you begin to treat the person. And so this will walk you through things from delivering a baby to setting a broken bone all the way to to get them on the road again. Written by a doctor, an MD, and a nurse. They both worked in ER for a long time and practicing. There's some other options that are available. This one is very expensive, but you can get something very simple on that. So, general hygiene, right? I didn't bring them in, but things just like, I think the picture's up here, so we can go to the next one. General hygiene, you're going to want to get things like your soaps, right? Extra shampoo, more than just the travel ones. It's not bad to have the travel ones, right? But have some extra, think of all the soaps we use. Use dish soap, laundry soap. You're using body soap. Maybe you have soap to clean the dog or dog disinfectant, or maybe your dog gets in front of skunks all the time. You're going to need things like that. And then personal care, right? So the things that you might need extra that you use on a daily basis or regular basis, you need maybe extra razors, or you need deodorant or toothpaste or cheap sunglasses, or you're going to need an extra hat, or you're going to need, right? Just you start stocking that up aside from and you put it in a place where you can get at it if you have to get at it quickly or you need to know where it's at. So, other things I didn't bring in, but I want you to think about is like having extra trash bags. 55-gallon garbage bags are great. They're great for getting rid of trash, leaves, debris, other things, right? They're great for storing your swamp cooler pads and cover them up so air doesn't penetrate during the winter. It's great for that. You can make a poncho out of them, put a hole, put your arms through. You can make a makeshift tarp. But think about if water and electricity are down for a while, you're going to have to dispose of waste product, including human waste. Okay? And so that's going to have to be taken out of the house and removed so people don't get sick. You can make, if it comes to that, we talked about a few other things, but if it really came down to it, you can use a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket, right? And you can put a toilet seat on that and get some gerbil or some kitty litter on the bottom of that, and that works great as a makeshift toilet. But you use the garbage bag, right, on that. And so a lot of people who go camping or whatever use those types of toilets and stuff. But that's a backup thing. I didn't do pictures and I didn't bring it in because I think that's a little bit more far-fetched and on the end that what we would experience. But I think that we could come up with what's needed there. So now let me move on to energy and things, because remember, last week we talked about water, purifying water. One of the things, and the quickest way to purify water after straining it is to boil it, right? But if power's down, now hopefully you don't have like gas and electricity down, but guess what? If electricity's down for too long, that's how fuel is pumped up from the ground, from the tanks into your car, but it's also how natural gas is pushed along the line. So pretty soon, neither one will be there. So you're going to have to have a way to start a fire and to keep it going, right? So you're going to need to have things to boil. So simple things, but have some extra big lighters, right? Have some extra matches. Have some of the longer lighters around that are there. Most people have them, but have some extra ones. If you leave them sealed like this, they're going to last a long time, right? You're not using them. Something new in the market, I always like these gadgets, but I don't know if you can see it, but they have arc matches. I don't know if you've ever seen these. I don't know if you can see right at the tip here, but it does an arc like a taser, and it lights really well. You plug this in and charge it up. This particular one will give you 300 lights. They have some bigger ones that look like regular old-timey lighters that you flip up and you would flick, but you just hit a button in arc. That'll do 600 to 800 per each charge, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because we're going to get into how do you charge those things up. Just candles. Dollar store again, right? Get those big Jesus candles, right? They're $1, man. They come in a glass. So you can cook, you can literally almost cook with 3 or 4 of those. If you have a plate over that, 4 of those in about a half hour will boil water in a metal cup, right? But it's something like this, these little things here, they're a little more expensive. You can get the little tea lights and put them in here. They're little lanterns. And tea lights are extremely cheap, and that'll give you 4 to 5 hours of light, right? The thing I like about these is that you could put these little citronella candles in them, right? And they chase away the mosquitoes and the bugs. So if you're more in the valley, you're going to have more of that. Or you just go, some of these things, think of dual purpose. If I could use them for camping or use them for outings or for scouting or doing those kind of things. Now, they do make bigger versions of this where you get 3 larger candles, and the top is actually kind of like a flat cooktop And so it heats up, so you have a bigger one. Literally, you can heat water hot enough to make instant coffee or to make oatmeal or to do that kind of thing with that. Plus, warm your camp a little bit there. Okay, going on to the electronic stuff. They make these things, and you can get these in a battery form or you can get them in the rechargeable. I like rechargeable because once your batteries are gone, this thing's dead. But if you do a little bit in the area of solar, you can charge these over and over and over again for as long as you have sun, right? So they have a little light like this, right? Then you can be Atom 12 with a light like that, or a disco party. But if you want a table light or something like that, you pull it up. Okay, and that comes down. So these, something like this, you can get 4 of them for like $15 to $20. You may need something a little heavier. There's a light like this that sits up. Doesn't seem as bright, but it's got 3, and this has magnets on it that you can stick up against a workplace or your hood vent or someplace or hood of a car. That works real great. But the other thing about this is this will charge your phone. It'll charge your phone, depending on your phone, it'll charge it 1 or 2 times. And your phone is important. It'll be an important tool. Little flashlights are a little more powerful, right? To have that, you can do it, but you can also stick this on a magnet and use it as a pretty bright. But this would come in a pack, and these will last something like 19 hours before they need to be recharged. Larger flashlights we can go into, but you get the idea. Flashlights that are rechargeable are preferable if you have some solar, which we'll talk about, over batteries. If you choose batteries or you have flashlights for batteries, begin to stock up on batteries, store them in your refrigerator or your freezer, and it'll extend their life by quite a bit, 2 to 2.5 times. Yeah, put your batteries in the refrigerator. Next, let's talk about power and communication. Okay, if power goes out, you most likely will still have some use of your cell phone, but it may not be able to call, but you almost always can text when you lose all power, right? The reason you can't call is because we have the fastest network, they'll say that. But most of these places are now using the internet. So you have Wi-Fi calling. When you go to your house, your phone will tell you, hey, you want to turn on Wi-Fi calling? No. You want to turn on Wi-Fi calling? No. You want to turn on Wi-Fi? Why they keep asking is because it saves them, and because they can get, if they're not using their satellites and their repeater stations that it's going through Wi-Fi, your Wi-Fi router, then it saves them. Now, if the Wi-Fi goes down and everybody's trying to make a satellite call, guess what? It won't go through. But usually you can get a text through. But you can only do that if your phone's charged, right? So charging your phone can be something as simple as this. These are under $10. They'll charge your phone 1 or 2 times. You charge them up through your computer or your phone charger, right, to charge this. And then this plugs into your phone. And you can charge up your phone 2, maybe 3 times, depending on your phone, and your usage. That's all it's going to do. Or a little tablet. And this has saved my bacon a number of times. If I forget to charge my phone, or I left my phone on with all the roaming and everything else, and it goes down, that works. But you can get a bigger power bank, And this will charge your phone 12, depending on the size you get, 12 to 40 times. Okay, this will do something like even charge up a laptop if you have a converter to charge a laptop like that. Plus, it has lights, a flashlight on that. It also has a back there. If you do wireless charging, you just turn it on, put your phone on a wireless charge. Nice thing about this is it's got a solar panel on it. And you can get a simple one. Now, this is a simple one, so this isn't going to charge in a day. If this is dead, it's going to have to sit out almost a week to charge fully. What's nice about this is if it is fairly charged and it's sitting where it gets sun part of the day, it'll keep it topped off, right? There are ones that fold out that have bigger solar arrays, and they will charge. Then you've got a little power bank here. This is a 200-watt power bank. And so you have AC coming in here. You have DC, actually AC coming out here, DC coming out here. See the cigarette lighter plug? You have your USB ports over here. This will charge up a laptop like 5 times and your phone probably 60, 70 times. This will run a small appliance. Not a toaster, but it'll run like a laptop or a small draw item for a little while. This is a real important tool. Now, these start at about $60 and go up to like $6,000, where you can literally run a house on them, okay? But they are very useful, and I'll talk about this. Another oddity that you might consider, especially if you've got a somewhat unreliable car, is one of these battery banks that jump-start your car. You used to have to get out the jumper cables and jump them, right? They have these little car jumpers now, and the sides pull off, and you can literally hook jumper cables to it, put it on the car. Some of them, you let them sit there for a few minutes, and then it'll start most any car. Like this will start a large V8 at no time. It'll start it 20 times. But the other nice thing about it is USB connections. So this will charge your phone. This is not solar. That's just a fancy front on that. But this little guy is solar. One of the things you might need, communications, is a little weather radio, AM, FM radio, about $13. You can charge it up by hand. It'll take you about 4 years. So what you do is you trick the grandkids into doing it, right? and that'll work. Or you can charge it by USB port, or it is solar, so it'll stay topped off if you do that. Again, you can charge your phone with this. So it's really smart to have something like that. So that's your power. And this is only scratching the surface, and I don't want you to go crazy. Oh, I've got to go have the power bank or whatever. Start with the smallest, so you're covered, and it helps you in certain times. The next thing we're going to talk about is fire. Fire! You got to have fire, right? You got to boil things. You got to cook things. If you don't have gas or electricity going on there, most people will have a grill. If you don't, get a small grill, small hibachi. Do we have that up there? Go to the next one. Picture. And one of the other things you can pick up, make these little camping stoves. This is called a rocket stove. And a rocket stove, this is like the smallest one you can get, but this folds down and goes into this little pack. And it's that thin when everything folds down. So it's great. It's really made for backpackers. So the wood comes in here and sits. You light it, and you just keep fitting twigs and things up there. The fire will come up here, and this will boil a large pot of water with just twigs, because it's sucking the air up, and it's called rocket because it basically creates this vacuum that goes up, and so it's literally firing flames out when it's doing that. So that's a rocket stove from about $25 up to like $800, right? You can make one out of, you can go on and you can YouTube it, you can make one out of bricks, right? Out of cinder block. So then we're moving over from fire to keeping warm and keeping cool. Warm and cool is important. So if you don't have power, but you have something like one of these power banks, you can power all kinds of stuff, not just your phone, but you can power, for example, let me see here. Little desk fans. They actually kick out quite a bit of air. 3 speeds, $9. Get these type of things. Have a couple going. They're not oscillating or anything like that. If you want, some mist or spray, you just spit into them when you're sitting there, and that works. You can get more elaborate ones, right? But for $9, you can sit in front of that. You keep yourself cool. And also, you've probably seen these space blankets. They work, you guys. You can get 10 of them for like $10, $10, $11. They fold down to like this. I used one of these the other night just to try it out. And it was a few nights ago, and when it was cold, I was sweating underneath it. So they work. They're crinkly. They're not the most comfortable thing, but they'll save your life, right? They'll cover you. And these can fit in a very small thing. You can put them in your glove box. You can have, so something happens and you're stuck at work or other thing, you can have couple of these, and you're kind of covered. They're like $1 a piece type of thing. If you want to get a little fancier, they have 12-volt electric blankets that you could hook into something like this, right? So it's the same cigarette lighter, it plugs into electric blanket, sitting in your car, watching the kids play baseball, or football. You have one of these going on, you can be wrapped in the blanket, whatever, You could be toasty warm, right? If something really goes down, you need that kind of warmth. Again, it uses power, but it's really nice. They work well. They'll get you warm, toasty warm, right? But because it's 12 volts and they want to last a long time, they don't get super hot. There's no regulator on it. Just get you warm. It'll get your body temperature up. But if you're in a situation where you need far more, this is what they call a buddy heater. And you're looking at about $100 plus the propane bottles that come with it. You can get an adapter that will hook to a 20-gallon tank, so you're not going just on this 1 pound tank, 20-pound tank, or even a 30-pound tank. This will last you about 6 hours to 8 hours tops. But what it does is it burns across ceramics here, and this is approved for use indoors. So you can't bring in charcoal. You'll suffocate yourself. You can't bring in a gas grill, but you can use this. You want to have a little bit of ventilation going on, right? But people use this in tents and in campers and stuff all the time, in fishing huts, that sort of thing. These I can show it to you guys a little bit later. They'll work really, really well. They light up and they put off a lot of heat. Some people will take the little heating fans, those fans that work off the heat conductivity, and at a certain temperature they'll start to spin, and that'll kick the heat out into the room. So they do a really good job of heating a small room or a camper, that sort of thing. It's not going to heat your whole 3,000 square foot house. Okay, I'm not going to do that. The last two items I want to talk about here then that we were talking about is this guy here. This is a Domendi Refrigerator. There's quite a few brands out there, and this has been going now. You got frozen water in here. I've been running this off of a battery, and the battery is just plugged in here off of, I took it off just a little bit because I didn't want it compressor kicking on when I was talking, but it just plugs in the cigarette lighter, and this is just hardwired to a battery here. Let me unplug this and plug this one back in. This is the one that I've used before, and I've run this for, right now it's at 19 degrees. This will take it down to -4, or you can use like a refrigerator. 54 quarts, these run, you can get smaller ones, like if you just needed to keep something like insulin cold, you can get smaller ones that fit in your car that would take like a 6-pack of soda, and they run about $50, okay? And you could probably run that off a car battery for several days without any kind of intervention or charging. This will run about 23 to 27 hours off of a decent car battery without any intervention. But the intervention is this. This is a fold-out solar panel. It's a 100-watt panel. It's about $100. And you can use this to charge a car battery, and the car battery will run the refrigerator. Now, you can't just go directly from here into a car battery, because once the battery tops off, then you begin to overcharge the battery. So what you need is something that is called a charge controller. And there's two ways you can do that. The way I like to use on this system is if you have a small power bank like this. This is probably the smallest one that will take a charge from a solar panel and at the same time send out DC power. They don't all do that. The more expensive ones do. This one about 130 when we bought it. So you use this as your charge controller. It's taking solar in, it's charging this, right? It's sending 12 volts out. And so what this does is allow you to then keep the 12-volt refrig going almost indefinitely. If you keep that in the sun, this will take it through the night. If you want it to go 24 hours, then you hook this to a car battery. So what you do is you take a car charger, okay, so you go to solar panel, into this, that's charging this. You go to the AC and you take a little trickle charger for a car battery. You get them really cheap now, $12, right? Hook the trickle charger to your battery, take your battery to this unit. And I think you could run it almost indefinitely. I mean, we ran it all day at minimum sun, and everything was at 100%. And this unit ran almost the entire night, which means that it charged the car battery, so the car battery could have gone another 27 hours. So basically 2 days without sun using this system, but with sun in there and topping this off, even minimal sun, this would run basically indefinitely. Yeah, so just to recap that, you can just hook one of these to a car battery. Like you could hook it, you could put it in your car, and if your car has a cigarette outlet, right, you could run this. But after a while, you won't be able to start your car because after about a day, it'll run it down, right?
What if we just buy a battery in the house? How do we connect it?
Yeah, if you if you have an old car battery, you probably want to keep it just outside the door because they'll put off some fumes, right? So what you would have is, if you wanted to keep this set up, you need to have a simple solar panel, and then you want some way, it's a charge controller. Okay, I was using this as your charge controller. Yeah, yeah. This is Marlboro, but there are other units, right? There are other units like this.
And that's called a trickle charge?
No, this is a power station. A trickle charger, battery trickle charger looks something like this. They're small units, they're very cheap anymore. You can get them. So you'll be able to see this afterwards. So basically you're coming from that. That's operating as, so it doesn't overcharge something, right? It takes it in there, that turns it to AC power. AC power, I plug in like a regular battery trickle charger. And I connect that to the battery. So it's always charging your battery, and then you connect your battery to this unit. And you'll be able to see this. It'll make sense when you get up and see that. The other one is a much more expensive unit. But if you wanted to get deeper into it, then you can get several solar panels. Then you want to go to something that is a permanent solar panel. This is another 100 watt. These you can still get for about $80 a panel. This is going to go to what is called a charge controller, but it's much more elaborate charge controller. This is a 20 amp charge controller. These are about $80. So your solar comes into this. It converts that to the right amperage and voltage for batteries. And these are not car batteries. These are lithium ion phosphate batteries. So these are more of the batteries that are in your phone type of thing. You can take these down to almost zero and then back up, and it doesn't hurt them. If you run your car battery down to zero and back up, its life will be damaged. They're only meant to go about down to 50% and then back up. These are much more expensive. These are about $300 to $400 a battery. Okay? But they put off a ton of power. So you'd go from a solar panel to this. It's your charge controller, so it's charging the batteries. It knows how to charge lead acid or lithium or a car battery or whatever it is. It'll keep this topped off by the sun. Think about that. You're getting photons from 93 million miles away. It's turned into electricity. This manages the electricity so that it doesn't overcharge your batteries and damage your batteries. Your batteries go into an inverter. This is a very expensive inverter. You can get smaller ones. This one is a 3,000 watt inverter, which means it'll run anything from a toaster to a table saw. So it takes it from 12 volts, it inverts it to, and some of your SUVs, most of your modern SUVs have a little inverter in it now, okay? And it takes it to 120, right? So regular household current at 20 amps, which means that when you turn it on, you can run something. Now, this hasn't been charging. These batteries have been sitting for a few days. But it means that now as you turn it on, the power's there. And so we've got water in this pan. It's a cast iron pan. This right now is going to an induction cooker. An induction cooker uses electromagnetic to heat the pan itself. There's no transfer of heat. This surface is cold, right? But this water is already starting to get warm. So it causes the pan start to heat up, and so you need a pan that is phosphorus metal, anything a magnet would stick to. Cast iron works best. They'll tell you on the pots and pans now, well, if it can be used by induction or if it can't be used by induction. So let's say you get several of these solar panels, 3 or 4 of them. So you got 300 to 400 watts coming in. It's going to these batteries. These batteries are called 100 amp hour batteries. So they're a lot more powerful than car batteries. You're going to need at least 2 of them. You have an inverter here, and the inverter will then power something like this. So this will power a microwave. It'll power a toaster. It'll power, it'll power a regular refrigerator, but you're limited on your battery strength and how a household refrigerator would run. It's going to power almost everything that you need or have. So this would be the difference between having I don't know if you can see, it's already steaming. This is the difference between having a gas generator or propane generator and a solar system. You can scale this down to about $500-600, which is equivalent to, it's already got a rolling boil going. This would be equivalent, if you scale this down just a little bit more, it would be equivalent to like a $500-600 gas generator. But the thing in the Southwest, after you run out of propane or kerosene or gasoline on that generator, this will still go. This will go and go and go. These batteries have a 2,000 cycle life cycle to where they go down to 80%, which means that you can run these all the way down and back up every day for 5 years before you start to lose some of the power in them. Okay, so they're extremely powerful and useful in that. And then we've got a full boil going. Just turn that off. I tested that one time, and I'll come back to the middle here and I'll take questions. I tested that. I think it took, when I put it on 50 and then I went to 80, it took 170 seconds to bring it to a boil. Now, it's a small pan, right? But it'll process it real fast. Okay. So that's it. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but we'll take questions now, and then I'll let you come see this stuff, and I'll answer any questions on the solar. The solar generator is basically this. It's a power bank. This is what is now called a solar generator. No. So if you want a 1,000-watt solar generator like a Jackery, or that's a brand name type of thing, what you're getting is basically one of those batteries that has the inverter built in. So you spent now $1,000 for the same thing, and it won't run that because that's 1,800 watts, and that will be 1,000 watts. So it's about $1 per watt. So for about the same price, if you buy the stuff separately, you get 400 watts. It actually has the solar panels with it. You get 2 of the batteries, and you get a 3,000 watt inverter instead of 1,000 watt inverter. That far setup is going to be about $1,100 now because prices have shot up. This smaller system you can set up for about $400 or $500. Yeah. Most of all this stuff is going to be online, from eBay, Amazon, again, Walmart, REI, solar places. Now, some of this stuff, you can find used equipment, you can find used solar panels. They're probably going to be a little bit degraded because of weather and time, but you'll get them half price. And so you can slowly build up on these things. But I would put that over just about any moderate priced or similarly priced generator, or any of the solar generators that they're talking about now. If you buy it separately and do it, it's about 3 times the power. Yeah. Those units are great because they have a handle on it. You just pick them up, you go, right? And so you could do small things with that, small blenders. You can power things. You can power a string of lights. You can charge your laptop, and you can do just a number of things on a smaller scale. But it's still going to need a solar panel or 2 to hook to it, which is extra, and then it's going to have its limit on what it can run because it just won't have the massive response power of two of those batteries, right? So it's better if you can use some ingenuity, do a little study on it, and get a system that you can put together. But they have their place. Like I have a small one here. It's very useful, right, for all kinds of things. On the go, you can take it. It can run my electric blanket. Any other questions? Yes. It will, but you're limited on batteries. It'll run a full-size refrigerator. You could do it on solar, and you could do it, but that's about all you'd end up doing. More batteries than you're talking about. You're basically building a solar plant, like you're turning your house into solar. For enough batteries and enough panels, you can run your whole house. Yeah. So if you want to run a freezer, here's what I suggest. Now, if you've got a lot of food that you need, it's hard to beat one of the floor freezers that you go and get, and they're fairly efficient. But to run a freezer like that, you wouldn't need that big of an inverter. You probably would need an extra battery, and you'd probably need maybe 4 of the panels. And you could then something like that's out of the sun and not cycling on and off. You'd probably run it indefinitely in your house or in the backyard. Yeah.
And so if you have your solar panels hooked up, your battery, you have the batteries indoors.
The lithium batteries can be indoors. Depending on what you're powering, right? If you're powering something like this 1800 watt inverter, yeah, you probably need like a 12 gauge. It's 12.2, 14.2, shorter extension cord. If it's an 100-foot cord, it's got to be much thicker. If you're only going 6 feet, it could be not nearly as heavy, right? How much electricity you're pushing through wire over length and times. Yeah. Solar panels have to go to a solar controller because that's going to regulate and not overcharge something. Solar power to a charge controller. Yeah. If you want to learn more about this, there's a great guy on YouTube, Will Prowse, Prowse, Will Prowse, and his videos are seen into the millions. He can walk you through this in very simple terms and get you through it. I just wanted to show you what's possible. I'm not saying run out and buy one of these. Not everybody's going to be able to piece these two together. So something like a solar generator with a portable unit like that would work, and it would power a refrigerator like this for a while, like a Jackery 500 or Jackery 1000. which would equal one of those batteries. Not quite, but it would equal one of those batteries. Could power that with some solar panels, could power that indefinitely. But you're probably spending $300 to $400 more, maybe even $500 more than this system. But it's all done. It's compact. It's mobile. It's really nice. It's warranted. So there's benefits in that. Any other questions? Yes.
Everybody gets potassium iodine on things in case there's the truck rolling over, or the government gives it out if there's like for some. But by the time that you have to take it to the first hour, and by the time the government gets it to you, you sell it on eBay. It's
eBay.
not expensive for us in our drawer.
Yeah, you can potassium iodine. It's to protect your thyroid, and you need small doses, but you need it pretty quickly after you have some kind of radiation exposure. But yeah, and you can get it from certain foods too, but you need to take it within a short period of time. So it has to be with you or handy. But that's what she's talking about.
I got it real cheap.
Yeah, they're not expensive. Shellfish has a lot of fish has a lot of iodine in it too, and kelp and stuff like that. But
Iodine.
that's the brand name, but it is iodine. That's what protects your. Let me go up here. That's what protects the thyroid. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to close, and you're welcome to come ask me as many questions as you want up here. Now, next week, let me tell you, what's the next best thing to stocking up food is growing your own. Seriously. I've had small container gardens. Last year I didn't do it, but previous years, you'd be amazed out of a small area how much you can produce. And I would get zucchini after zucchini after zucchini. I'm like, we got to give these away, right? And we've got like a Don over here. He does gardening too. And pretty soon you've got tomatoes, you've got zucchinis. They're coming out by the boatload if you're doing it right. And so we're going to have Michael Thom here as guest speaker, and he's going to share about that very thing, how to do it in a very small area, and how to get the most return, most bang for your buck, and how to start growing a green thumb. Little tips and tricks of like, hey, especially when drought or water or heat or those kind of things, perfect person to ask for that. So that's what we're going to be doing next week, okay? So let's close in prayer. Father, we thank you. We thank you so much for your blessings, for guiding us, for delivering unto us something that we can use and utilize for loving on people, for taking care of people, for being prepared, for being wise witnesses, Lord. And we praise you for that and ask that you would guide us, each one, Lord, that we'd walk in integrity and not walk in fear, Lord, but to walk just in love and knowing that no matter what state we're in, you're going to provide, and no matter what happens to us, we meet you anyways, either in the air or fresh out of the grave, Lord. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you guys for coming.